Masechet Gittin Daf Lamed Bet. We begin the fourth perek, and the topic is canceling a get that was already sent, kind of like stopping a check that you already sent in the mail. Hasholech get liishto v'higia bashaliach, o sheshalach acharav shaliach v'amar lo get shenatati lecha batel hu hare ze batel. The husband sends a get with an agent to his wife, and then the husband runs faster, takes a faster car, and he reaches the agent and tells the agent, the get that I gave you is batel. That's one scenario. Or he sends a second agent after the first, who's a faster runner, catches up to the first agent and says, the husband told me to tell you that the get that he gave you is null and void. Therefore, you cannot deliver it. In these cases, in fact, the get is null and void, and even if the first agent would continue and give it to the wife, she would not be divorced, right? He withdrew the force of the messenger. That's case one. Kidem etzel ishto o sheshalach esla shaliach v'amar la get sheshalachti lecha batel hu hare ze batel. A second way the husband can nullify it is not by overtaking the agent, but rather going directly to the wife. So he takes an express and gets to the wife before the agent does, and he tells the wife, listen, I sent a get through an agent. He didn't get here yet, but I'm letting you know that that get is null and void. That is null and void. Or a subclass of this system is he sends a second agent, and the second agent arrives at the wife before the first agent does, who has the get, and the second agent says, listen, there's a get on the way, but the husband told me to tell you that that get is null and void. So then 5 minutes later, the first messenger comes in and says, here's your get. It's null and void because the second messenger already told the wife. However, in any of these cases, if the get already got to the hands of the wife before the husband or his agent gets a chance to nullify it, then it cannot be nullified after. Once the get, through a valid agent, gets to the wife's hand, they are divorced forever. There's no way to undo the divorce. As much as he can jump up and down and said, I want to undo it, he cannot take it back. Okay, so barishona haya ose bet din mimakom acher umebatelo. Hitkid Rabban Gamliel hazaken shelo yu osin ken mipnei tikun haolam. Now we saw two ways of nullifying it, either by overtaking the agent or arriving at the wife's residence first. But there was a third way that used to work, that the husband he sends an agent, the agent's on his way, didn't get there yet, and then the husband goes to a local bet din, and he says in front of the bet din, listen, I sent a get, but I hereby declare to you that it is null and void. Technically, that would work, and it's null and void. And that would have worked. However, Rabban Gamliel Hazaken, that's the elder Rabban Gamliel who lived during the time of the Bet HaMikdash, the grandson of Hillel, he made a takana that one should not do so because for the betterment of the world. The problem here is that on the one hand, he back home nullified the get, but she will never know about it, right? The agent doesn't know it was nullified, she doesn't know it was nullified, and she, based on receiving the get, will go out and get remarried, have a child, whatever she does, and thinking that it's okay. And then she'll find out later that, she was married to the husband, she was never divorced, and now she's going to get into have big problems. So Rabban Gamliel says you're not allowed to do that. She has to be informed, and either way of the first two, either by informing the agent that you're no longer an agent, or by informing the wife that this get is no longer good. Either way, she will know that she is not divorced before it gets to her. Okay, Gemara, higi'o laketani ela higia. Gemara noticing that it says higia bashaliach, not higi'o. It doesn't say that he reached him, that the husband reached the agent, but just rather that he got there, he reached. Why does it say that without the pronoun? To teach you something extra. Even if the husband wasn't specifically trying to reach the agent, he just happened to be traveling on the express, and he happened to see the agent at the stop, and he wasn't looking for the agent. He just happened to see him, and he sees the agent and says, "You know what? I want to make the get void." We might have thought that in that case he doesn't really mean to void the get. Rather, he's just trying to trouble his wife by saying, "Oh, I don't really mean it." So really, he does mean it, but he's just talking in a way to vex his wife. I might have thought that. Therefore, it teaches us not only higi'ah, certainly if he went out of his way purposely to go find the agent, then he really means to nullify it. The Mishnah, by saying higi'ah, teaches us that even if he does not intend to get to the agent, he just happens to see him, and then on the spur of the moment says, "I nullify the get." That also does nullify the get, and we assume that he meant to nullify the get, and not that he's only joking to try to annoy his wife. Okay, that's the first. We're going to see this theme come up a few times here. Why do you have to add the case that not only if the husband himself overtakes the first agent, even if he sends a second agent to overtake the first agent? What does that clause teach? Because I might have thought that the power of the second agent is not any greater than the power of the first. Right? He makes two agents. One that the get is good, one that the get is bad. Who said that the second one is better than the first? Maybe the first is more powerful and can continue, and a second agent cannot nullify a first agent. Only the husband himself can nullify it. That's what I might have thought, and therefore it teaches us that case, kamash malan, that in fact the second agent does have the power because he comes second. Whatever the husband said last, that's what he really means. Kadam hu esel ishto lamali. Now, why do we need the case where the husband goes directly to the wife? Couldn't I figure that out if he can cancel it by the agent? So what does this come to add? Because I might have thought that when do we say that the husband is not intending just to vex his wife? That's only when he's saying it to a shaliach. In other words, when he overtakes the shaliach himself and says, "I don't mean it anymore," and that's not very vexing to the wife, because the wife may not even find out what happened, right? She's sitting at home. She has no idea what happened. The husband sent an agent, changed his mind, and then went and unsent the agent. So it could be that she will hear about it after. "Oh, you almost had your get," right? The agent was right nearby. He was right down the block, and then the husband stopped him. That will make her upset. So it's possible, but it's not so likely that it will necessarily make her upset in that case. So I might say, in that case of a shaliach, he does mean it, and it's null and void. But when the husband goes directly, he sends an agent, and then he goes faster and goes directly to her, then I might say, surely his intention is only to upset her, but not to actually cancel the get, and maybe the get therefore is effective. It's just like he's mocking her. "Oh, I'm nullifying the get," but he doesn't really mean it. So therefore, we need this case in the Mishnah to teach us that we assume he means it, even when he goes directly to her. And furthermore, why do I need the sub case of the second scenario, that he sends a second messenger, but this messenger goes directly to the wife and says the get that's coming is no good? Why do I need that? I might think that the husband himself, if he goes to the wife and says, "Listen, I'm going to nullify the get," then we say he means it, because he's not going to trouble himself to travel or just to annoy her. But to send a messenger where he doesn't have to do it, he could just say, "Hey, you, go and tell my wife that the get is coming, but I don't mean it." There, you might really think that he's doing it just to vex her. He doesn't really want to nullify the get, but he just wants to make her annoyed. She's going to say, what? The get's on the way, and now a second one comes, and then the get's going to, she's going to be all confused. She's going to be upset. Maybe he just wants to make her upset. So Kamash Malan, that's why the Mishnah teaches, even in this case, we don't assume that the husband just wants to upset her. We assume that he really changed his mind. And although he sent the get, he feels better. You know what? I didn't want to send the get. And so even with a messenger directly to the wife, which would be very upsetting to her, nevertheless we say he really means to change his mind and nullify the get. Next. The next clause in the Mishnah was that if it already reaches her hand, and then he runs in, right? 1 minute later, opens the door, says, "Oh, you just got the get. I take it back. I don't want to give it." He cannot nullify it. Now we say, isn't that obvious? Once she receives the get properly, obviously you can't undo it later. I might have thought in a case where the husband was already going around looking for the get, right? He sent the first messenger. 5 minutes later, he changes his mind and he goes out looking for the agent. Where's the agent, right? And then he can't find the agent, and then he goes and runs to the wife. Where's the wife? He can't find her, right? And then finally he does find her. So I might have thought, since he can say, I've been looking for you this whole time, even before you got it, so maybe that means that retroactively he shows that he wanted to nullify it. So therefore the Mishnah adds this clause to teach that once it's done, and whatever protestations he makes, whatever attempt he made beforehand to find her doesn't count, right? Unless he actually goes to the agent or to her and says the get is batel, or sends a messenger that reaches the agent or her before she gets it. Before she gets it, yes, you can do those mechanisms and nullify it. After she gets it, no matter how much you try, right? There's no A for effort here. All right. Next section is going to be about the language that he has to use, the exact language. Tanu Rabbanan, batel hu if shibo devarav kayamin, pasul hu eno get lo amar kelum. If the husband or the agent says, let's just say the husband himself, the husband says, this get is void, or I don't want it anymore. Those are good languages, because basically these are prescriptive. This is saying, right, the get that I sent, it was a good get when I sent it, but I'm telling you from now on, I want to make it nullified. I don't want it anymore. That's good. But if he says pasul, it is invalid, or it's not a get, he doesn't say anything at all, because that's more of a description, right? Pasulhu means there's something wrong with the get. It has wrong words, wrong name. But this get is not pasul. He also can't say it's not a get, because it is a get. It's written. It's written properly. It has all the words. It's on a something that is proper ink and all that. So it is a get. So he can't say as a description that is pasul. Or if he does it says this pasul and no get as a description, it doesn't say anything. Basically, in order to void a get, he has to use an active verb that's prescribing, saying I want to make it nullified. It was good, now it's nullified. If he uses a descriptive language or a stative verb, then it's no good. Okay, so that's the Baraita. We're going to analyze it, because the word batel actually is a stative verb, and it's not really clear what it means. So lememra de batel lishana de libtil mashma. Are you telling me that batel means I want it to become void? Amar Rabba bar Aibu, Amar Rab Sheshat, V'amri la Amar Rabba bar Abu, Mekabel matana, Shamar le'achar shebata matana li'ado, matana zo mevutelet, ti batel, if shiba lo amar kelum. Betelahi enah matana devarav kayamin alma batel meikara mashma. So we're going to challenge this word, that the fact that the Baraita says the word batel means I am making it batel. This seems to be contradicted by the following statement in a different context of giving a gift. If one gives a gift, then and the other person receives it, then that's it. It's a final gift. But what if he wants to give it back? Right? I give someone a car, but it's complete junk, and you're gonna have to just pay to tow it. And so after you receive the gift, you say, "Oh, you know what? I don't want it anymore." So it depends on the language that you use in order to say that you don't want it anymore. If the recipient of the gift, after he gets it, says a statement using a prescriptive language in the future, it's no good. If he says this gift is going to be nullified, it is nullified from now on, I don't want it anymore, then he hasn't said anything because he already received it. Once you received it, now you can't nullify it going forward. That doesn't work. This is the opposite of the situation for a get. On the other hand, if the one who receives it says betelahi, this gift is null and void. It's a descriptive language. It is not a present. This is no present that you gave me. This junk of heap of junk metal. This is not a gift. In that case, in fact, it works. And the gift is no longer. So for a gift, because he accepted the gift initially, he can't unaccept it going forward. But what he can say is this: hey, what you gave me is not a gift at all. And so what we see here, so it's the opposite of get, because for a get, it has to be that it was a get. So he can't say descriptively it was not a get. It was a get, and he issued it and sent it with a messenger. But it didn't get there yet. So in this case, the husband has the right to nullify it going forward, right? I'm deciding now that I'm making the get nullified. He can do that. He can make it nullified. He can't say it's not a get. For a gift, it's the opposite. She can't say I'm nullifying the gift from now on. It's already given. But she can, the recipient, he, she, anyone, can say, this was never a gift at all. Okay, the point is that the word batel means it was no good from the beginning. It's a descriptive word, right? Because this is included in the second part, right? Betela, it was never a gift. It was no good. So batel is a descriptive word. But you said in this braita that batel hu is a prescriptive word, that the husband is making it batel. So we have a contradiction. Amar Abaye, batel shete leshonot mashma. Abaye says, really, but the word batel, that verbal form, is ambiguous. And it could mean the mashma de batel, or mashma de libtil. It can mean a descriptive, stative verb. This is null and void, right? And it always has been. Or it can also have a sense of batel. I am making it batel. And so from now on, I am declaring it null and void. So it has ambiguity. It can be used in both senses, and therefore you have to look at the context. Gabe get lishana de mahani be kamar, gabe matana lishana de mahani ba kamar. If the husband says it in the context of nullifying a get, then we assume that he means it in the sense of a formulation that will be effective, meaning from now on I want this to be batel. Whereas regarding a gift, if the receiver says it in that context, we assume he means it in a way that will be effective. And in that case, it's only effective if he uses it as a stative, as a descriptive word. This gift has been, it was never good, it is nullified. And so that's right. The word batel can have both meanings. It depends on context, so there's no contradiction here. Amar Abaye, neketinan sheliach matana harehu kesheliach haget nafka mina leholech lav kezache dameh. Abaye says we have a tradition that an agent for a gift is the same as an agent for giving a get. We, in fact, just now compared the two, and so Abaye is furthering the comparison. And what is the application of this comparison? If the husband says holech, take this to an agent, take this to an agent, it's not considered as that he's making the agent an agent of receiving it, but rather only an agent of delivery. So in the context of a gift, it makes a real difference, because if I give a gift to a third party, an agent, and tell him, here, take this to my friend, so then it doesn't get delivered until it gets to the friend. But if I tell the agent, I want you to be an agent of receiving this, and zachin le'adam shelo befanav, one can, in fact, do that and give a gift without the third person knowing, and as soon as I give it to the agent, assuming it's a good gift, then it will already be received by the third party. And that's the same is true for a get. If I tell an agent, here, take this get to my wife, the get is going to be sending it, but will not be an agent of receiving it. And the difference would be, can the giver of the gift or the husband change his mind? If it is like zacheh, that the agent is already acquiring it on behalf of the recipient, then that's it. It's already acquired, and the husband won't be able to change his mind and cancel it. But if it's only a shaliach leholacha, so then it hasn't been received yet. Until it gets there, the husband or the sender can return to sender. Ravina ashkache l'Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak tetale v'ka'eh be'ibra dedasha v'ka me'ba'yale batel mahu tekum. Ravina found that Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak was leaning on the bar of a door and contemplating the following question: if a husband says batel, but he left out the pronoun. He didn't say batel hu. If he says batel hu, then that's a language in the context of get that we assume he means, I'm making it batel from now on. But that's batel hu. That's a common phrase. But if you just say batel, then it's a little less clear if he means that this get is now batel from now on, or it means batel, it is statively, it is describing that, batel. It is nullified from the outset, in which case it would not be good, and so he left it standing, literally, well, maybe not standing, but leaning. He's leaning on the doorstep, thinking about the word batel without who, just a subtlety of language, whether it means prescriptive or descriptive. Amar Rav Sheshat Amri la b'matnita tana. Some say that Rav Sheshat said this himself in Amorah. Some say it is a language of a baraita. You see, sometimes there's a tradition, because even the statements of Amoraim were memorized in Hebrew and were passed down in that form. And so sometimes it would be passed down by an Amorah, but then it could be confused because it sounds very much like a Baraita. So here, we're not sure which one it is. Some people pass it down this way and some that way. Get ze lo yo'il, lo yatir, lo ya'aziv, lo yishalach, lo yigaresh, yehe cheres, yehe ke cheres tevarav kayamin. If the husband sends a get and then afterwards he goes and tells the agent, this get will not be effective. It will not release the woman so she can go and remarry. It will not cause to leave. It will not send her away. It will not divorce. It will be like pottery. Pottery is worthless. It will be pottery. It will be like pottery. In all these cases that works, because he's saying it as of from now on. These are all future tense verbs. He's changing. This was a good get. This get is now no longer valuable. It is no longer effective. However, if he says eno mo'il, eno matir, eno ma'aziv, eno mishaleach, eno megaresh, cheresu kecheresu, lo amar kelum. If instead of saying it won't be effective in the future, he says it is not effective. It does not release. It does not cause to leave. It does not send away. It does not divorce. It is pottery. Instead of it will be pottery, he says it is pottery. It is like pottery. This is nothing, because these are descriptive statements, and it's not true. This was a good get, and so he can't nullify it from beforehand. He can't say it was never good. He can, however, say it's no good from now on. So he has to use language that implies something changing from now on. Ibayalehu. Harehu cheres mahu. Well, what if he says harehu? So he's kind of in between, because if he says cheres, hu is no good. Yeheh cheres is fine, but harehu cheres, is that saying, now behold, now it is like, from now on it is like cheres? Or is he saying, behold, it has always been cheres? what does this language imply? Amar le Ravina Rav Acha bered Rava, v'amri la Rav Acha bered Rava l'Rav Asher. Ma'ishena meharehu hekdesh, harehu hefker. And so the reply is, it's the same as saying harehu hekdesh. If someone goes and takes some animal or anything and says, this is hekdesh, or he takes he looks at some item, his car, he says, this is hefker, harehu hefker. So he's making it hekdesh. He's making it hefker. He's a prescriptive statement. It's not a descriptive. He's not describing and saying, "Oh, this is hekdesh." No, it was never hekdesh before. And so, just like in those cases, hareh hu means from now on. He is now changing the status. So too, hareh hu cheres means from now on, and therefore would be a good formulation to nullify a get. Baruch Adonai Olam. Amen ve'amen.